As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Iowa. It takes a special skill to be able to win a football game by kicking a field goal and getting two safeties. Not only does it take a special program to be able to do that, it takes a special program to not have a single game-changing player at quarterback for about as long as I can remember, at least 20 plus years. And Iowa's been a good, solid program. I mean, there's years where they're, right there, top 10, fringe top 10 for big portions of the season. No game changer at quarterback. I wonder how good would they be if they ever got someone that could make some plays, run the football a little bit, use their legs, get outside the pocket, push the ball down the field. But hey, to be able to win a game only kicking a field goal on offense, it's impressive. It doesn't happen very often.
Spencer Petras, 11 of 25, one interception, a QBR of 1.1.
Hey,
So if you did not see any of the Iowa San Diego State game, Iowa won 7-3. They scored 7 points via field goal and two safeties.
right.
It was disgusting.
Only if it was San Diego State. It was actually South Dakota State.
South Dakota State.
Worse.
Sorry, the Jackrabbits.
Right. But that makes it worse.
SDSU, the Jackrabbits.
Yeah.
That was because I watched the highlights of it. That was tough. That was a tough watch.
The highlights?
I just don't
think it's a tough watch. It's tough putting together the highlights of that football game.
That's tough duty for whoever has to put those together. But the confusing part is, and we talked about this when Ferentz named Petras the starter. How can they not get a transfer portal QB? They've got a really good defense. Really good. They've had a really good defense the last couple years. How can they not get someone from the portal? Like, they should call out of Hudson Card right now and say, hey, man, you want to come? Like, somebody.
The quarterback at UTEP, Hardison, is way better than anything that they've had there in a long time.
Oh, yeah. Give him a call, Ferentz. I mean, it's unbelievable.
The game was 5-3 for a long time.
Just unbelievable.
And South Dakota State, their quarterback, I don't know if he tore his ACL. He got hurt bad in that game fairly early on. So it was the backup quarterback. That was just crazy. But, hey, they're the winner because it takes a special skill. I don't know how you do it, but amazing stuff by Iowa.
166 yards of total offense for Iowa. I mean, good.
Not against Wisconsin, not against Michigan, not against Ohio State, South Dakota State. All due respect to South Dakota State.
At least it was South Dakota State, not South Dakota.
Right.
Because South Dakota State's the good one. So
right.
All right. Who do you have as your loser of the weekend other than Iowa fans who had to watch that game?
Oh, man. Can you imagine? Now, that is a sports radio host dream right there, is to play a game like that because, buddy, that following week, people are going to be lighting up the phone lines. I had to go I thought about going with the punter from UCLA. Did you see that punt block?
Oh, my gosh. What was that?
I don't know, but a player came free up the middle and just plowed directly into the punter like a bulldozer, carried him, pushed him all the way back like 5 yards, and someone just picked up the ball and walked into the end zone. That was amazing. But I ended up going with Quinn Ewers, who got the win, and Texas looked pretty good against UL Monroe, but somehow Quinn Ewers' car got towed during the football game. How does that happen?
I don't know. I'm guessing that Quinn Ewers drives a really sweet car. That
Yeah.
you would assume.
Right.
You would assume, like, does he not have a parking permit? Like, is there not player parking?
I would think that there's a secured player parking during the game. I never had a parking permit when I was at OU, but there was a secured parking area for the players on game day, like where we parked. And it's not like where you show, it's like where you go the day before and you get on the buses and you go to the hotel and everything. So I don't know. I was shocked by that. I thought that was, I mean, hilarious. Is just very, very interesting. I don't know how that happens, but I haven't seen much of those highlights, but sounds like Texas looked pretty decent.
Yeah, he threw an interception, but man, they've got guys, and you're only going to learn so much against Louisiana Monroe. But I mean, Bijan Robinson's a dude. Xavier Worthy's a dude. We're going to learn a lot about that team because they get Bama this week. Oh boy. So we'll see how it goes, right? You talk about a measuring stick game for Steve Sarkisian and for Texas football. But yeah, Ewers looked fine, right? He looked fine in his debut.
Is, Kirby Smart and Oregon is kind of going to be like the same situation here with Alabama and Texas, right? Don't you think Saban is going to prove a point here before Texas transitions to the SEC?
I would assume Nick Saban wants to win 100-0.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to call the dogs off. I think they're going to absolutely bury Texas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see, but we know Bama likes going into the state of Texas and taking the top players out of that state. So yeah, they're going to try to embarrass Texas, and we'll see if Texas lets them.
This isn't a game that's just a big non-conference game. This is, in Saban's mind, this is a very strategic football game for representation in the state of Texas in recruiting.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, savings accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. First Fidelity Bank provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information.
And if you're a whiskey or bourbon drinker, stop what you are doing. Head to your favorite liquor store and buy some Balcones products. You got to grab some of Balcones Lineage Single Malt Whiskey. It was voted one of the top 20 whiskeys in the world by Whiskey Advocate, and you'll be shocked by how affordable it is. Also, you got to snag some of Balcones Baby Blue Corn Whiskey.
It's made from blue corn. That's the fancy corn.
And that is why it has won more than 25 awards. Last but certainly not least, you got to buy some of Balcones Pot Still Bourbon. Its big flavors make it the perfect bourbon to drink year-round. Remember, in 2012, Balcones Single Malt won the Best in Glass competition, beating brands like Johnnie Walker and Macallan. This stuff is the real deal, people. If you love great whiskey and bourbon at a great price, then Balcones products are the only way to go. The whiskey may be made in Texas, but the owners, they're from Oklahoma. To find a liquor store that has it, visit balconesdistilling.com. All right, for my winner of the weekend, I know I'm not supposed to compliment anything when it comes to USC, especially the defense under Alex Grinch. Like, I understand that. And I understand Rice is off. They are. But they won 66-14, which is a good start, right, under Lincoln Riley. But the defense, They weren't great in the first half. Rice moved the ball pretty well, but they did end up having 4 interceptions, and 3 of them were pick sixes against Rice. I mean,
That helps out.
that helps out. That certainly helps out. 3 pick sixes. That's very hard to do. So I'm going to give them a compliment because that's very hard to do, Ted. Is that okay? Can I do that?
You can do that. Impressive. Doesn't happen very often. And when it does, I'm trying to remember. I think we talked about this one time. Scoring a touchdown on defense or on special teams in a game is almost impossible to lose the game at that point. Statistically, like the edge you get in winning a game when you score on defense or special teams is insane. You do it 3 times, yeah, that's something incredible.
Yeah, but my winner of the weekend, and the timing was annoying, but it's still exciting. The 12-team playoff, college football playoff expansion. It's coming. We knew it would come eventually, but it is coming. Now the timing, not great by the CFP board of managers. Would have liked to just been able to focus on the games in week 1. But the fact that we're getting a 12-team playoff is awesome. And they did the right thing because we are getting home college football playoff games. CFP games on college campuses like the good Lord intended. So
this is the single greatest development in the history of college football.
It is
home playoff games.
It is going to create some of the best atmospheres we've ever seen in this sport. And I can't wait. Now, not going to hold my breath that this is going to get done before 2026 because, right, these presidents of these universities said, all right, commissioners, work together and handle it. Okay. Yeah, we've seen how that has gone in. This is something that the ball on this should have gotten rolling a long time ago, right? I mean, we're literally doing the exact thing that Greg Sankey and Bob Bowlesby and that committee recommended. It's silly. But Kevin Warren and Jim Phillips and George Kliavkoff, they threw their temper tantrum, and here we are. We're right where we should have been in the first place. So
yeah, the Big Ten said, we don't care anymore. We're rich. We do whatever you guys want.
We're rich. Did you see our TV deal? We're so rich. But
we don't care. 10, 12, 18, doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, whatever. And one of the main thoughts, because I do think, the 5 through 8 seeds having a home playoff game is massive, right? It's huge for the school. When you think about revenue generation, it's huge for the community, right? That's another home game for all the bars, the restaurants, the hotels,
and a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be massive for those communities. I wonder how they're going to compensate the 4 teams that get a bye, because they're not going to get that, which it almost feels like you get the bye. The bye is a great thing, right? You're getting to rest, but missing out on all of that, if you're that community, you know what I mean? Like it feels like they're almost being punished for getting a bye.
I know it is strange. Now, back whenever it was first proposed, and I lost my freaking mind the first time I heard this, I was like, what? Yes, this is awesome. They threw out that the ticket sales, concession sales, in-stadium revenue that's produced in these games just goes into the pot that everyone shares. So even though you're not going to be able to host, like hosting a game, like for the university isn't necessarily going to be like, it's not like you get to keep all of that extra money. Now, all of the stuff around the stadium, absolutely. But I think like tickets, concession, that type of stuff in the stadium goes into the pot for everyone to share that's in the playoff, or however they break that down.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, let's go with creative accounting. Yeah, some creative accounting.
We couldn't sell any tickets.
We couldn't sell them.
Stadium was empty.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how that entire thing works. I do want to say something because this is exciting. I think this continues to make the regular season matter. I don't really understand the arguments that people say it's going to matter less. It's stupid. I think this is going to make games in November matter even more. It's going to give fan bases more hope. Like, this is going to make more fan bases more engaged for longer into the season, which is how the game grows, which is how you grow the sport. And that's very, very important. Ted, let me know what I'm missing, because there are several people that work in college football media that are complaining about expansion. I do not understand. What am I missing?
I don't know. I don't. I've racked my brain over this for years because I heard the same thing going from the BCS to the 14 playoff, is that it devalues the regular season. And I just can't wrap my head around the concept. A lot of times when someone throws an idea at me, I can either agree or disagree, but I can usually see like where it, like the intention, but I don't even understand how it could devalue the regular season. It doesn't make any sense. It makes the regular season more important to more teams. And the more important it is to more teams, the more important it is to your team. Because you think because there's 12 teams, now all of a sudden your home game against Baylor doesn't count as much, doesn't mean as much. What? Every game means everything anyways. I just don't understand. I can't grab that concept. The other thing that I don't understand, and it's totally wrong. Like, one of the big complaints about the 14 playoff is the blowout games, right?
Right.
And so you say, well, 12 teams, now those games are going to be even worse. No, they're going to be better. Why are they going to be better? Well, because the top teams aren't going to be playing like the first time you'd have 4 byes, right?
Right.
And the 4 byes, like the other games, like outside of the top 4, that's who's playing. And those games are going to be awesome because they're like once you get outside of the top tier, it's really hard, right, for those teams to compete with the top tier teams. Like, whenever you look at the bracket breakdown, you're going to have a ton of incredible football games. If you go back and apply the 12-team playoff to last year, how it ended, you would have amazing games all the way through. So, and who cares if they're blowouts, right? That doesn't even matter. They're great matchups in a great environment. There's going to be more of them. This is going to keep players from the top teams from bouncing to go to the draft. No one cares about the bowl system anymore. I'm sorry. There's a lot of nostalgia around the bowl system. And, I went to some bowl games and they were great experiences. But no one cares about that anymore if it's not in the playoff. And that was a byproduct of the 14 playoff. And, maybe if you could ever go back and change that, then you could keep the bowl system. But once you went to the 14 playoff, it made everything else irrelevant. This is the way to make those games important again. They're going to add them into the second round is going to be the New Year's Six, right? Not how that worked.
Yep.
I think it's all just it is positive for college football in a million different ways.
And one of the arguments, like, well, the same teams are going to win the national title.
So
yeah, I mean, now one thing we don't know is how more access to the playoff will affect recruiting, especially the top talent in recruiting classes. Because right now, you look at the top players, I mean, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, like a lot of those top 10, 15 guys are going to a handful of schools. We don't know. We can assume, but we don't know how the top players in the country, like how this will affect, like more access. Will this be a reason that a guy who lives in Florida chooses Florida now instead of Alabama? Like, we don't know. So,
right.
Like, it's going to take time to know how more access to the playoff will affect recruiting, which will then affect the talent level of rosters across the country. Now, the teams that are investing just unbelievable amounts of money into the program, like they're going to continue to be the top tier teams, right? Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, like the teams that are really investing the money, like that's not going to change. But people act like they know how this is going to affect that stuff. Like we don't know. It's going to take time to see what happens.
Well, and here's the other thing. I don't know exactly how the calendar on this is going to work. But if you look at the current situation, the 14 playoff, right around December 1, 2, or 3 is whenever the SEC, Big 12, like the championship games are, conference championship games, right?
Yeah, that first weekend in December usually.
Right. And then you don't play the first round of the playoff currently until like the last weekend in December. You got 4 weeks of prep, right? You got 4 weeks to prep for 3 teams. Like you're going to do your main prep on who you're playing, and then you'll start to like do some evaluation on the other team. When you have a 12-team playoff, and I'm assuming it's going to be a reseeded after every round, right? To where
I
like
feel like it's bracket style. Like the bracket's set and it is what it is. I feel that's how I understood it, but well, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I would want it to be reseeded, but I think if I understood the release right, it's like the bracket's the bracket once it's released.
Well, even if that's the case, you are the calendar is going to be moved up. You're not going to have 4 weeks to prepare for one team, which is a massive advantage for the teams like Alabama, like the teams that are already the most talented, right? To have that long of a preparation time. When you don't know who you're going to play and there's less time in between these games, it takes some of that major bias or lean or favor to those top teams.
Yeah. So it's exciting. And for anyone that covers college football and is saying, oh, this is awful, expansion stupid. Well, it's going to bring more money into the sport, which hopefully, as you know, as guys that cover college football, hopefully means we all get paid more money. So if you really want to take a stance when you renegotiate the contract, say, no, I don't want more money. I keep my salary the same because this expansion is ridiculous. If you want to make a true stand, do it that way, gentlemen.
Opt out of the pay raise with the playoff money.
Yeah. All right. For my loser of the weekend, thought about going with that poor East Carolina kicker, man. Oh my gosh. Owen Daffer just roughed snap hooks at extra point that would have tied East Carolina and NC State at 21 with like 3 minutes to go. But then had a chance for redemption, had a chance to be a hero from 41 yards. Pushes it. I mean, just the look on his face after I felt for that young man, Ted. That was a brutal performance for Owen Daffer.
It's a tough position to be in as kicker. I understand. That's why I think field goals and extra points should be eliminated from the game. They're ridiculous. I don't know how you can play 60 minutes of smash mouth, slobber knocking football and have it be decided by a 130-pound guy that's been standing on the sideline the whole time. But hey, it's the sport we created.
Well, maybe if Owen hears that, it'll make him feel better.
Have you ever did I send you that Larry David thing, or did you send me the Larry David thing talking about eliminating field goals? Is that you?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I also thought about going with UCLA. Did you see that crowd?
Yeah, if you want to call it a crowd.
So they announced a record low attendance at the Rose Bowl, 27,143. And there is no way in hell there were even 5,000 people at that football game. And I get like I guess it was 100 degrees in Los Angeles. So I don't care. That is, and I will say when OU went and played UCLA in the Rose Bowl a couple years back, it was the most underwhelming environment I've ever been in. Ever. when it comes to college football.
That game felt like a training camp practice where two teams meet up and practice together. It was bad.
It was, and congrats, Big Ten. Congrats on taking that, getting the mighty UCLA brand.
What did you see? Did USC have a good crowd?
I think they were like 60-ish thousand. It wasn't great. Like, it wasn't full. That's a big stadium. I mean, it is, but it was way better than what UCLA had. But I listen, I get it's hot. Yeah, California, we were all at the beach in the water, cooling down. Okay, whatever, man. I mean, whatever. But it was, I mean, USC's wasn't great, but UCLA's, that was pathetic, man. I mean, absolutely pathetic.
Well, that's why they got that punt blocked on their first series of the game and gave up a touchdown. At least no one was there to see it.
Yeah, at least no one saw it. My loser of the week, though, UTSA. They had Houston. They absolutely had them. 14-point lead in the second half. Let it slip away. Ended up losing in triple overtime on a really, really fun play by Clayton Tune there. The Houston QB went airborne for it. They got into one of the 2-point conversion shootout things that are now a thing in college football. But Tune did a little bit of everything for Houston. But just seeing Jeff Traylor's interview after the game, I mean, the Roadrunners are going to be sick that they let this one get away. Especially, I thought Frank Harris, their QB, was, I mean, he did a lot of really good things, put on a show for people there at the Alamo Dome. But Traylor's comments after the game, you talk about a coach taking it hard and putting the blame on himself. So what happened was UTSA stopped Houston on like a 4th and 1, pretty late in the third quarter. So it would have been turnover on downs, but they got called for illegal substitution. And Traylor after the game, basically, so Houston goes on to score on that drive, cuts the deficit to, I believe, 7 at that point. And Houston really kind of just kept rolling from there. And Traylor said after the game, this is the quote right here: "The mistake is one I will never forgive myself over the rest of my coaching career. We had such a great opportunity here at the Dome. The head ball coach let it slip away."
Brutal.
Talk about a coach taking it hard, man. Damn. Now, he's also got like a 10-year contract, so he's probably not that concerned.
Yeah, well, if he's not going to be there very much longer if they keep playing the way that they have been. That program is pretty dadgum good.
Yeah.
And Texas better watch out in a couple of weeks. What was the substitution penalty? A guy trying to get off the field late?
I think so. I tried to like go back and watch it, and yeah, that's what it looked like.
Here's the thing, and I think we've talked about this before. If you've got a defensive lineman that is sprinting off the field as hard as he can before the other team snaps the ball, if the guy is not trying to participate in the snap, it shouldn't be a penalty, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it should be illegal if you've got like 12 guys in the huddle or 12 guys lined up that participate in the play. But if you're jogging a guy off or running a guy off that's not trying to have an impact and doesn't run into anyone, doesn't touch anyone, it shouldn't be a penalty. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a really tough way. Now, there was a lot of football that was played after that drive. I mean, they had a chance to win the game, but yeah, just a tough loss for the old Roadrunners to swallow. And yeah, Dana's going to be doing some tough coaching, right? Because there's some high expectations for Houston. But yeah, it was a fun football game.